Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the topic called priority encoder. But before that, we'll walk through a normal binary encoder and we'll try to understand what are the drawbacks of normal binary encoder, and then we'll jump into the priority encoder and we'll try to go into the deep. So for binary encoder, the definition is that it is a combinational circuit that encodes the information from 2 to the power n input lines into the n bit code. So for example, here we have an octal to binary encoder where I have 8 lines of input, okay, which is 2 to the power 3 is equal to 8, and then we are encoding this 8 lines of information into 3 bit of code, which is this 3. So that is my uh, normal binary encoder. So it will produce the binary code equivalent to the input which are active high. So which you can see from the truth table here. So I have my 8 input lines Y0 to Y7, and this A2, A1 and A0 are my outputs. Now let's take an example of this Y5. Okay, it is high for these inputs. Wi-Fi is high, right? And others input are 0. So that is one assumption in the normal binary encoder, that at a time only one input will be active high. So for this, my output will be 1, 0, 1. Okay. So similarly for Y7, okay, if it is high, then my output will be 1, 1, 1. Now what you see is what are the disadvantages or the what are the drawbacks in this normal binary encoder. One thing to see is, right, you can see, right, only at a time one input is active high. What will happen if my two inputs are high, right? Will this 8 to 3 binary encoder produce a correct output? Let's see that. So let's suppose my Y7, let's suppose this Y6 and Y5, right? My Y6 is high and then Y5 is high. Then what will be the output, right? The output will be 111, but then the output is 111 when the input Y7 is active high. So there is a ambiguity. Okay. Similarly, if the inputs, all the inputs are 0, okay, if the all this Y0 is also 0, if the inputs, all the inputs are 0, so the output will be 0, 0, 0. But you see, when Y0 is 1, the output is also 0, 0, 0. So which is a ambiguity, okay, over here in the normal binary encoder. That is the drawback. There is an ambiguity when all the inputs of encoder are equal to 0, and also the other drawback is if more than one input is active high, more than one input is active high, then the encoder produces an output which may not be the correct code. Okay, so that is the drawback. Now, how to overcome this difficulty? Of course, we can overcome this difficulty using a priority encoder. So let's understand what is priority encoder. So what priority encoder does is it assign priorities. Okay, it assign the priorities to each input of encoder. Okay, when I say assign priority means whatever input we have y7 y6, so what this priority encoder will do, it will assign the priority. So y7 will be highest priority and then my y6. Okay, and then the output of encoder will be the code responding to the active high input which is priority high. So we have the solution, right? So let's say this similar 8 to 8 is to 3 encoder, okay, where you can see if my d0 is, so where have here my d7 is having highest priority, and my D0 is having lowest priority. So take any case, right? If my this D2, okay, if my D2 is high, okay, my D2 is high, this one D2 is high, and I do not care about this. What is D1 and D0? Even it is whether it is 0 or 1, my output will be corresponding to these inputs. Okay, so it is D2, so it will be the output will be 0, 1, 0. Similarly, you see D4. Okay, if D4 is high, I do not care whether my D3, D2, D2, D1 and 0 are 1 or 0. So the output corresponding to this D4 will be 1, 0, 0. Now let's see, right? For this D5, right? D5. So this is don't care condition. So whether it is 1, 1, 1, 1 here, all the inputs are 1. But I have assigned the priorities, right? D5 is having highest priority. So my output will be corresponding to this input. Okay, so it will be 1, 0, 1. So in this way, you can solve this, okay, using priority encoder. Now let's come to what are the uses of encoder. So you see, right, you can see, right, what encoder is doing. It is encoding the these data lines into binary information, right? So you can use encoder to translate the decimal value into the binary information, and then you can perform some operation, arithmetic operation like addition, subtractions on these binary informations. You can also use this priority encoder to detect the interrupt in the microprocessor application. So these are some applications of encoder. So thank you so much. Please comment your views in the comment.